Whether consciously realized or not, traumas induce anxiety. We all suffer traumas. Some are major and many are seemingly minor, but nonetheless pile up our stress load, wear down our resilience, and reduce our thresholds for anxiety. Throughout my professional experience, I've clearly observed that unresolved trauma continues in the emotional brain and lurks to precipitate and sustain anxiety. Though often unrecognized as such, experiences and perceptions in daily life can trigger emotional memories that subject the brain to physiological responses of heightened arousal and defense as though the originating threat is live and present. Different sources of common challenges and provocative experience can trigger anxiety, but underlying traumas can associate past experiences and exacerbate the brain's response to perceived threat. A trauma, physical, environmental, or emotional, precipitates an involuntary emotional and physiological response to what the nervous system regards as dangerous or threatening. A trauma may result from the following. 1. An injury caused by an extrinsic agent, especially one causing a disturbance in normal functioning. 2. A psychological shock or severe distress from experiencing a disastrous event outside the range of usual experience, such as rape or military combat. 3. A psychological shock or severe distress from experiencing an attack or loss, or a manipulation or taking advantage of one's vulnerability. 4. A disordered psychological or behavioral state resulting from severe mental or emotional stress or physical injury. 5. A violation or perceived violation of a person's familiar ideas about the world and their rights. The traditional concept of trauma is predicated on an assumption of a catastrophic event outside the range of usual experience. However, trauma encompasses a much broader range of causal situations and is a very common experience. Traumas are universal. They occur intermittently in everyone's life. Recovering from traumas is necessary for basic physical functioning and mental and emotional health, and can be accomplished routinely by most people, given the right tools, training, and support. In order to understand these points, we must start with the assumption that we all have vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities make us physically and psychologically prone to attack and to break down from life's events and forces. As we accumulate experiences and get to know ourselves, we can ideally identify and often protect ourselves against many of our own vulnerabilities. Certain vulnerabilities are genetically coded and specific. Vulnerabilities are the weak links that allow us to become ill or dysfunctional in a myriad of ways. For example, we know that particular diseases tend to run in families. A family history of heart disease, diabetes, depression, etc. doesn't determine that we will be afflicted with these conditions, but it does weigh the odds that put us at greater statistical risk. Trauma occurs when we are caught in an attack on one of our weak links, whether the attack was intentional, random, or even imagined. The essence of trauma is that it penetrates defenses, seizes upon vulnerability, and leaves us feeling hurt, defenseless, and usually causes us to relive in some way the embedded traumatic experience. Common sense observation and our own experience will confirm this cause and effect link. Many forms of trauma can occur when people are subjected to harsh conditions: abuse, overwhelming negativity, rejection, racism, isolation, poverty, and so forth. But for many people, even having to deal with the more mundane traumas that result from daily interactions, demands, and conflicts typically associated with ordinary relationships can be overwhelming. When your spouse, boss, friend, child, relative, partner, teammate, or peer, does not react in the way you want or expect, it can be emotionally traumatic and draining. You need not be oversensitive or even know that the trauma is occurring. You can, however, tell by the after effects. Remember, the nature of trauma is that it causes us to relive or anticipate an event or reaction that previously left us hurt, shocked, exposed, or defenseless. So when you find yourself or your relationship partner reviving the same conflicts, scripts, and quickly accelerated emotional responses to the faintest of cues, you'll know that a trauma has been incited and activated. For these traumas, you don't need access to an emergency room or years of therapy. What you do need is the realization that you're probably reacting to some provocation that stimulates a less than conscious, unresolved emotional vulnerability that initiated a trauma. Such awareness will enable you to see your inner responses and your outward behavior as reactions to a trauma that you may perceive viscerally as necessary, but which are neither a function of choice and clear thinking nor conducive to planning, keen observation, evaluation, or problem solving.